You want to know why your friends, your family, your coworkers are never actually going to be able to keep the weight off? It's because they're taking these shots to help them lose the weight in the first place. They're taking the pills to keep them suppressed, keep their appetite suppressed over time. And that's part of the problem, is the reason that they will never be able to maintain what they now have is because they've never developed the habits, the structure, the routine to forge the body that they want. And what these good habits can do for you is develop a pathway for you to defend from all of that old identity, that old version of you, those old bad habits that you used to have. You want those good habits to defend you like the Great Wall of China. Even more so, like a futuristic Great Wall of China. So, as far as each of these habits go, what can you do exactly to get to 10% body fat? What can you do to maintain this lean body weight and to actually create the body that you want for the rest of your life? Well, first things first, you're going to want to develop grit. Yeah, it's kind of a weird one starting off, right? Grit in the sense that this is not easy. Losing weight is not always easy. It might be simple. Yeah, move more, eat less. Everybody knows that. I'm sure if you handcuff yourself to a treadmill and you let it run for 24 hours, yeah, I'm sure you're going to lose quite a bit of weight with that, honestly. But is that something you're going to do every single day? Is that something that you're willing to do every single day? When you have grit, when you have something that pushes you, you want to be able to maintain that. You want to be strong with what you are doing. You have to remember why you are doing something. Because it's not easy. If it were easy to get to 10% body fat, this whole planet would be 10% body fat. But there's a reason many countries are just completely overweight now, as opposed to actually being lean, looking good on the beach, feeling good for summer, having energy to play with their kids and their grandkids. There's a reason for that. So developing grit is going to be one of the most important parts, and having the habit of persevering through tough times. Yeah, you're going to be a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to be a little bit hungry. This is all normal stuff. You're going to have to go exercise when you don't necessarily want to. That is what it takes. Everyone always gives these unrealistic expectations. You want what is actually going to happen. Most people, boom, they've already clicked off. They've already nope, yep, I have to push myself a little bit. I have to get out of my comfort zone. Not for me. Perfect, no problem. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you because you're still around. As far as the next habit goes, this is where it becomes more of a structured thing. When you want to focus on waking up at the same time every single morning. Now, there's a few reasons for this. Most people will completely write off sleep. Sleep is for the weak. I'll get sleep when I'm dead. Right now, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Well, newsflash for you, you can actually be here for a good time and a long time, believe it or not. And what waking up at the same time every morning does is it allows you to get into the structure. You get into the routine. Let's say you wake up at 5 a.m. one day, and then you wake up at 9 a.m. the next day. Those 2 days are probably going to look very different for you. And it is not that the waking up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 4 a.m., it's not that those are what gets you set and going. It is the fact that you have a structure in place to continue your day. And what I've noticed this does is it's tough to go to sleep at the same time every night because you will be in bed and then you might not be able to fall asleep. You might have stuff on your mind. You might have to journal. You might be hanging out and socializing with friends. It's not super easy to just fall asleep at 10 p.m. every single night. I get that. And a lot of my clients understand that too. And I understand that on a personal level as well. But when you set that wake up time for a specific time where you know, okay, this is when I'm getting up, this is how I'm going to get ready, this is what I'm going to eat for breakfast, boom, now I can start my day. You just start off way more productive. And you typically, the people who wake up at the same time every single day have a routine because they just know, oh, my alarm is going to go off. After a while, if you've done this before, you'll start to notice that you'll naturally start to wake up a few minutes before your alarm goes off. Like you'll get a really nice deep sleep, and then all of a sudden you wake up, you look over at your clock, and you're like, oh my gosh, my alarm's going to go off any second now. Good thing I woke up before, because it's way more fun to wake up naturally than it is to wake up by an alarm. But you notice that this just sets you up for structure. This sets you up for the rest of the day. You are far more likely to stick to something when you actually do this, like when you actually get good sleep. And this will also motivate you to go to bed earlier, because let's say it's 3 a.m. and you know you're supposed to wake up at 7 a.m. Yeah, you're going to have a rough day the following day. So what you want to do as far as the later into the night it gets, you'll realize all these temptations kick in. All these demons come out. You don't want to play with the old habits, the bad habits, the temptations strike at night. The food, like, oh well, it's late at night. I'm having these salty cravings. Oh yeah, let me have a whole bag of chips now. Okay, well, now I had salty. Now I'm craving sweet. Now let me have some sugar. Let me have a couple brownies or a few cookies, some donuts that I left in the cupboard, that sort of thing. And you'll notice what this does is it'll push you to go to bed earlier. And through going to bed earlier, you are naturally already avoiding so many of the other challenges and problems that you faced originally. Those late night binge sessions, the temptation of, I'm gonna stay up late, and then I gotta watch this whole TV series, and I'm not gonna be able to wake up in the morning because I just spent all night watching this series, and it just creates these bad habits over time. So the more structured you can get, the more that you can get into that rhythm. This will not only cut out a lot of the bad habits, but enforce the good ones as well. And so the third habit, I would say, this one's a little bit more unique. Eating on smaller plates, smaller bowls, that sort of thing. And the reason I say this is because I notice with a lot of my clients, my fitness clients especially, I'll notice that when we go back for seconds, when we go back for thirds, when we go back for fourths, you start to feel guilty. The more you do it, the more guilty you feel equals the more plates that you go back for. And a lot of the times, what you realize is you'll load up this huge plate and it'll just be flooded to the top and surrounded, like hanging off the edge. And then you're like, yeah, well, I only had one plate. Let me go back for a second one. It makes it so much easier to go back for a second one because now you can fill that plate up too. And what I notice is that when we start to go down to smaller plates, we start to cut down the quantity of which you are eating. You realize, yeah, if I go back for seconds here, like, yeah, this is okay, but I realize, hey, I'm going back for seconds. And then when I go back for thirds, even though it is on a smaller plate, it is so much better going back for thirds on that smaller plate than it is on that bigger plate. And it's kind of a unique strategy, but I've noticed it's really helped a lot of my clients. Same thing with bowls too. Instead of having a huge bowl of cereal, cut down to a little bit of a smaller bowl. That way, every time when you do go back for your habitual seconds and thirds, it's a lot easier to realize that the quantity is so much less than what it was before. Now, the goal is, obviously, you are going to want to go back for more, and you are going to make the excuse for yourself, well, it's way smaller than the other plates were, so let me go back for fifths and sixths and so on. And it's like, well, yeah, you have to keep that in mind. That's where that grit comes in, is you have to realize, hey, this is the strategy you're using. You have to cap yourself out at thirds or fourths. And sometimes that's just what it's got to be. But that way you at least know that even if you do flood that small plate, it's not nearly as much as, overloading that big plate. And that's a huge strategy as well. And one thing I like to pair with the plate strategy is putting the fork down every single time you take a bite. All of us nowadays, we're in such a rush to just gulp our food down. Like, just let me just devour this thing. Let me just get this thing down. What you want to do is every time you take a bite, I don't care. Load your whole mouth up. Look like a chipmunk. I don't care. Load your whole mouth up with food. Set your fork down. Chew. And then, this is going to kind of sound kind of weird, but like, you are not allowed to pick that fork back up until you swallow, until you finish. So, swallowed my food, now I can reach for this fork again. And now I'm going to load my mouth up, whatever, set it down. Because what I'll notice a lot of times, even for myself, like my favorite food is spaghetti. So when I am shoveling spaghetti down my mouth, one, I'm not even enjoying the taste. Two, I am getting it down so fast that the fullness does not hit me until later, and it leads me to over consuming, to where now I'm completely bloated, I feel like crap, and I'm super lethargic afterward. So what this does is it will allow you to, one, actually enjoy your food, and then two, let you digest a bit faster. I'm sorry, you get to slow down so you can feel that digestion kicking in sooner. And what that'll allow you to do is not be so, it's almost like you're able to control your gluttony a bit more, and you realize you will fill up a lot faster when you are slowing down. That's been a huge hack for not just myself, but for some of my clients as well. The plates, the bowls, it's just those little mental switches over time that make it a lot easier, where it's not super crazy or super intense, if you will. And now the next strategy, the next habit that you're going to want to develop is front loading your protein and your fiber. So what exactly does this mean? Well, a couple of different things. One, Protein is not just good for building muscle. A lot of people know, yes, muscle is great, that sort of thing. It is not just for, and muscle is not just for the sake of looking good, not just for the sake of that 10% body fat, but it is for the sake of being able to function better. People will get in car accidents, and the people with more muscle tend to survive more. The people, I think it's 55 plus or 60 plus, when you fall and break a hip, your risk of passing away just freaking skyrockets. It shoots up because you fall down, you can't catch yourself because you have no muscle, no strength. You break a hip, and now you're sedentary, and now your whole life is essentially just going downhill because of that one slip up, because you didn't have any muscle, you didn't have any grip strength, you didn't have the ability to catch yourself in a weird position on the way down because you've practiced different movement patterns like that before. So protein will help with the muscle development side of things. Obviously, you still have to exercise on top of that to make this have a better bang for buck, but it's also great for immunity as well, and repair too. So, repair in terms of muscle protein synthesis, if you have some sort of injury and whatnot. But then it also keeps you more satiated throughout the day. And same thing with fiber. You notice that, like, for example, I'll start my days off typically with protein shake, eggs, ham, and then some sort of fruit to pair with that. And what that does is this allows me to stay satiated. I'm getting a lot of protein in. I'm hitting my protein goal for the day. I'm getting a lot of fiber in, especially in the morning. A lot of people tend to have their bowel movements in the morning. This is something that will help with that. And not only does it help with that, but you get to remain fuller for a longer period of time. So by the time lunch rolls around, you're not like, oh my gosh, I'm absolutely starving. I need to have every single thing in my pantry or in my fridge right now. So by front loading those earlier in the day, you're already hitting your protein goals. You're already hitting your fiber goals, depending on the size of the person, like anywhere from 20 grams of fiber a day to like 40 grams can work really well for most people, but you want to ease your way into that. And at the same time too, with protein, it's usually 1 gram of protein per pound of your goal body weight. And this is going to vary from person to person. Getting in even above like 150 grams of protein can be tough for a lot of people. So that's why the sooner that you front load it in the day, the easier it becomes to work on the fly afterward, to where you can have like your better stuff, your more favorite foods later in the day. But that way you're using those favorite foods as the reward, not the coping mechanism of like, I feel guilty and I feel bad, so I'm just going to indulge and write this week off. That sort of thing. So front loading protein and fiber is really good. The ideas with that is that a lot of foods that are high protein, high fiber are what I like to call high volume, low calorie foods. So there's high volume of them, meaning there's a lot of food there taking up space, but it is a low caloric amount. Sweet potatoes, one of the absolute best examples by far. You can have a whole plate of sweet potatoes. Literally, a fat plate of sweet potatoes, it could be less than 500 calories. And I guarantee you, most people, like 99% of people, if you eat a whole entire plate of sweet potatoes, that thing will fill you up and satiate you more than a whole entire box of Oreos. And the caloric difference is immense. It's insane how big of a difference that is, because you're like, how can so much food have such a little caloric value? And those are the cheat codes that you want to use, is these foods that are high in protein, these foods that are high in fiber, fruits, vegetables, meat, that sort of thing. They're really good bang for buck foods. And that is a huge hack to helping lean you out over time, so you don't hear that food noise as much. That way you can actually eat a lot of food, but you are not suffering. You don't feel the need to push yourself or push yourself beyond a limit where you feel like now you're guilty and now you don't even care. And 2 days later, you're like, well, I need to get back on track. And now it's just like this up and down work. So those going to be huge, especially for the appetite side of things. Another thing regarding post-meal stuff is going on 10-minute walks after each meal. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean you need to go walk, a couple of miles or go out in the sun in the middle of the day. Like where I'm from right now, it's freaking hot outside. I'm literally sweating as I'm just standing here. And this is not my house. I'm actually at somebody else's house right now. So it's like nice view and everything, but it is hot. Like that sun is hot right now. So it's not realistic for everyone to just go out and walk, especially in the place where I'm from in the middle of the day. So what does this look like for most people applicably? Pace your kitchen. Put a show on and pace your living room. Put YouTube on your computer and pace your bedroom. anything that you can do to just get a little bit of movement in after having especially a big meal, especially something like dinner, is going to be huge for you. Because most of the time when we do have a bigger meal, we're nice and full. It starts to make us a little bit sleepy. And then all of a sudden, because we sit down, we lay down, we start doing, doom scrolling activities. We indulge in bad habits. It makes it so much easier to just let ourselves continue those bad habits. But when you go on a walk, you are a lot more likely to actually give yourself a boost in energy. Because one, you're letting your food digest a little bit more. You're staying active throughout the day. You're still getting some steps in, some sort of movement in. And then that way you're still passively burning food in calories, as opposed to like, I'm just going to go on a 10-mile sprint, or 2-mile sprint and feel so much better because it's so much more intense and whatever. It's like, no, it's something that's a low barrier to entry. Most people will not want to go on a long run. They are much more willing to go on a short walk. 10 minutes is perfect. Pace your kitchen, pace your house, put a show on, put some YouTube on, whatever you need to do, listen to something, and then make sure you are just staying consistent with it. That will help keep so much fat off and so much weight off over the course of a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, just by having that one habit alone. Because a lot of people will completely neglect that and they think, yeah, now that I'm done eating, let me go lay down. Let me go relax. It's almost the opposite. You want to do the opposite of that. And for the last one, I would say exercise for consistency. A lot of people get really confused with exercise. They think that this just strictly means, oh yeah, I'm just going to, like I said, I'm just going to go on these sprints, or I'm going to do something super intense, or I'm going to go on a hike, go on a run, and then go biking, and then go to the gym afterward. No, that's not something. Is that something you can do the rest of your life? If not, then you probably shouldn't necessarily be doing it all the time. So when I say exercise for consistency, everybody has their own modality of what's fun for them and what they enjoy doing. One of the best things that you can absolutely do just all around, across the board, is some sort of resistance training, some sort of weight training. Whether you go in there and use machines, whether you're using cables, dumbbells, barbells, it doesn't matter, as long as you are doing something to build muscle on your frame. Like I said, the biggest problem with most people is that they'll get into this super strict routine and this super intense routine. They'll do it for about a week or two and then they fall off and now they can't stick with it. And what's the point of you actually doing something if you're not going to reap the reward from it, if that makes sense? And what is the point of, how can you stick to something? How can you forge that body? How can you get to that 10% body fat when you can't actually stick to it for longer than a week or two? Because getting to 10% body fat takes a lot longer than 1 or 2 weeks, especially depending on where your starting point is. Exercise for consistency. Find something that you like. Do something that works your heart and lungs, your cardiovascular system. Do something that works your muscles. And then do it frequently enough to where it is a low barrier of entry. It is simple for you to do, you get in, whether that is a bodyweight workout at home or whether that's going to the gym 5 times a week. All my clients are on very different routines. We just have to match with all of their lifestyles, especially. Figure out a plan that works for you. Hire a coach to help you develop that and set up that structure, whatever you need to do with that. As far as my personal one-on-one coaching goes, if you stuck around this long, there's a description, and in the description down below there's a Typeform application. Go ahead and fill that Typeform application out. Let me know where you're at. Let me know what you're struggling with, but then let me know your goals. Like, let me know what you're trying to do. Are you trying to get to 10% body fat? Are you trying to feel good? Are you trying to be here long enough to enjoy your kids and your grandkids? Like, let me know what you're feeling and what exactly you are looking for. I'll reach out to you. I'll see what I can help, and we'll just go from there. Okay. If you found any value in this video, please be sure to drop a like on the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.